High in the heart of the Himalayas, where snow-draped peaks pierce the clouds, a river emerges from glaciers older than civilization itself. Known as the Yarlung Tsangpo in Tibet, it eventually transforms into the mighty Brahmaputra in India before merging with the Ganges and Meghna in Bangladesh, nourishing millions along its path. For centuries, this river has been both a sacred lifeline and a geological wonder. Yet in its most dramatic stretch, the fabled Great Bend of the Yarlung Tsangpo, nature presents both its greatest gift and most daunting challenge. Here, the river plunges more than 2,000 meters in just 50 kilometers, carving the deepest canyon in the world. It is a natural powerhouse of unimaginable energy potential. Now, China has set its sights on this extraordinary site with a mega project of unprecedented ambition, the Medog Hydropower Station. Costing more than $170 billion, this colossal cascade of dams is designed to dwarf even the Three Gorges Dam, long considered the crown jewel of Chinese engineering. If realized, Medog would become the most powerful renewable energy project in human history. But along with promises of clean energy and economic growth come profound risks, environmental fragility, engineering peril, and tense geopolitical rivalries that could transform this dam into a diplomatic powder keg. The Great Bend, nature's hydraulic marvel. The Yarlung Tsangpo begins its journey across Tibet's windswept plateau, meandering eastward before curving sharply around the Namcha Barwa Massif, a 7,700-meter giant revered as the father of Tibetan mountains. At this point, the river plunges into the Great Bend Gorge, dropping 2 vertical kilometers in an incredibly short distance. This torrent represents one of the most concentrated sources of hydropower potential on Earth, yet it sits in one of the most remote and volatile landscapes imaginable. The Great Bend lies in Medog County, a region of heavy monsoon rains, frequent earthquakes, and some of the steepest slopes on the planet. Paradoxically, it is also a biodiversity hotspot, where subtropical forests and alpine meadows coexist within a few kilometers. To engineers, this setting is a dream, an almost limitless source of renewable energy. To environmentalists, it is a nightmare, an irreplaceable ecosystem poised to be reshaped by bulldozers and blasting charges. From dream to reality. Chinese planners have eyed this site since the 1990s, but for decades it remained more fantasy than feasible. The region's remoteness, unstable geology, and politically sensitive location, just kilometers from the disputed Indian border, kept the project confined to think tank papers and academic studies. That changed with China's 14th five-year plan, which elevated hydropower development in Tibet to national priority status. In December 2024, Beijing officially approved the project. By July 2025, Premier Li Qiang himself presided over the groundbreaking ceremony, hailing it as a dual triumph, a milestone in China's climate strategy and a stimulus engine for economic revival. In many ways, the project encapsulates Beijing's broader approach, using state-led mega-projects both to accelerate the shift away from coal and to project influence in contested regions. How the cascade works. Unlike the monumental Three Gorges Dam, the Medog project is not a single giant wall of concrete. Instead, it will be built as a run-of-river cascade, a sequence of 5 interconnected hydropower stations that harness the river's dramatic descent like steps on a ladder. At each stage, water will be diverted into a small pool, then funneled through tunnels stretching up to 15 kilometers into cavernous underground turbine halls. After generating electricity, the water will rejoin the river, only to be captured again downstream. When completed, the cascade will boast a staggering 60 gigawatts of installed capacity, roughly 3 times that of the Three Gorges Dam. It is projected to produce 300 terawatt-hours of electricity annually, enough to supply nearly 13% of China's 2024 energy consumption and displace hundreds of coal-fired plants. Because Tibet is far from China's industrial heartlands, ultra-high voltage transmission lines will carry this electricity thousands of kilometers to hubs like Guangdong and Zhejiang. In doing so, Medog could provide the firm power needed to stabilize grids increasingly reliant on intermittent wind and solar. The engineering gauntlet. Constructing such a project in the Himalayas is nothing short of Herculean. Before tunneling can even begin, crews must carve precarious access roads across slopes steeper than 70 degrees, erect cableways to ferry heavy equipment, and stabilize mountainsides prone to collapse. The tunneling itself is treacherous. Workers must bore through fractured rock that can suddenly explode outward in rock bursts, while groundwater seepage poses constant flooding risks. The massive underground turbine halls, each over 200 meters long, must be excavated in stages to prevent catastrophic collapse. Seismic risks compound the danger. Every tunnel and cavern must be designed with flexible joints, reinforced linings, and real-time stress monitoring to withstand earthquakes. Meanwhile, the monsoon brings the threat of landslides, flash floods, and washed-out access roads. River diversion adds another layer of complexity, requiring temporary dams and bypass channels capable of handling Himalayan flood surges. With short construction windows due to extreme winters and rainy summers, different stages of the cascade will need to be built simultaneously, a logistical ballet on a knife's edge. Financing and timeline. The projected cost exceeds 1 trillion yuan, about $170 billion, making Medog one of the most expensive infrastructure projects ever attempted. Funding will come from a mix of state-owned hydropower giants, national policy banks, and infrastructure bonds, a model that allows Beijing to absorb risks too great for private investors. Construction officially began on July 19, 2025, with an estimated completion date of 2033. Partial power generation could begin around 2030 as early turbines come online, but full operation will take years longer. Even then, unforeseen geological surprises or extreme weather could easily push the timeline further. The risks and controversies. The Medog project is as controversial as it is ambitious. Its risks span environmental, engineering, and geopolitical dimensions. Environmental impact. Even though the run-of-river design minimizes large reservoirs, construction will still fragment habitats, disrupt wildlife, and alter sediment flows vital for downstream soil fertility and fisheries. The gorge is one of the most ecologically diverse places on Earth, and damage may be irreversible. Engineering hazards, landslides, earthquakes, and unstable rock formations create constant danger. A collapse or failure at such a massive scale could prove catastrophic for both workers and downstream communities. Geopolitical tensions. The Yarlung Tsangpo does not respect national borders. As it flows into India and then Bangladesh, the river sustains agriculture, hydropower, and livelihoods for millions. Yet there is no basin-wide treaty governing its waters. India, already wary of Chinese infrastructure near its disputed border, fears the dam could become a water bomb capable of unleashing devastating floods or curtailing vital flows. Bangladesh, at the river's delta, worries about reduced dry season water and increased saline intrusion. China insists that the run-of-river model makes large-scale water manipulation impossible. But in geopolitics, perception can matter more than technical design. Even routine dam operations could be misinterpreted as hostile acts, turning Medog into a flashpoint for regional tensions, a double-edged legacy. If delivered as planned, the Medog Hydropower Station will be a crown jewel of renewable energy, capable of displacing massive carbon emissions and anchoring China's transition away from coal. It could also establish China as a global pioneer in large-scale hydropower for mountainous regions. Yet its ultimate legacy will not be judged by electricity alone. The project will also be measured by whether China can balance engineering triumph with ecological stewardship and whether it can build trust with India and Bangladesh rather than deepen suspicion. In a shared river basin, power does not come without responsibility. The Medog Dam has the potential to illuminate millions of homes, but it could just as easily cast a long shadow over the stability of South Asia. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And if you want more stories about epic mega projects, cutting-edge engineering, and the geopolitics shaping our world, make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep exploring the world's biggest ideas with me.